Yeah. Guillaume and I had the job of interviewing smart people, so they are using all the AI and building interesting stuff. So to get it started, I would just like for context setting for everybody in the audience, it would be great, just start from Vivek you and then talking about how you're using AI in your company. Yeah.
Thanks, Priyank. Uh, it's very tough to summarize it in one sentence. We are trying to be AI native company. We are using it for developer productivity. We are using it for customer support. We are using it for creatives. So it's almost everywhere. It's very hard to put that where are we using it. So it has kind of become omnipresent at Swiggy. It's almost everywhere. We are using it at all aspects of our SDLC and product lifecycle, software lifecycle, and also GTM.
And maybe Jot, your company and Vishal, your company, maybe you can talk about your companies. People might not be aware as much as Swiggy, right? So, yeah.
So I'm Jot. I'm the co-founder and the chief product and tech officer at Rapidclaims. What we do is we help hospitals, physicians, etc., to kind of analyze a bunch of different clinical information for various downstream tasks. The biggest one being claim processing and kind of submitting claims and then kind of liaising with the insurance companies and everything to get them paid. Uh, we work in very high precision environment wherein even a 98%, 99% accuracy is not enough because like a 1% error could mean like a $20 million loss for a hospital or someone's life at stake. That's kind of the context we work in. The places where we use AI, there are two. One, obviously, for the clinical intelligence. And second, making sure that all of our developers are using AI to make sure they're giving out 10x more the output than they were earlier giving. Yeah.
Can you expand on that clinical, like where do you use in AI in the clinical outputs?
Yeah. So the first use case, that is our biggest use case till now, has been a thing called medical coding. So in US market and various other markets as well. So there are these million different codes that you have to submit to the insurance company to be able to get proper reimbursement for hospitals and physicians. Even for like a diabetes, there are north of 20,000 different codes. If you have like a X comorbidity or a Y comorbidity and bunch of different factors, you have to kind of decide that. And we get this data from our clients, which is sometimes north of 1,500 pages or like different places in their health systems. We get all of the data and then we have to pass all of that medical information to be able to give this output. That's the key aspect.
Sure.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Vishal Virani, co-founder and CEO at Rocket. We are an AI native company. We are building a vibe solutioning platform where we are trying to solve the problem of day 0, day 1, and day 2. Ultimately, the code generation is one of the core part, and right now we are building the agentic system where we can help users to research. So now everyone knows like building the application is kind of in commodity. Everyone can build anything, but like what to build is still a kind of a question that everyone need to ask. And ultimately we are building a kind of an agentic system where we'll help users to just think about like, okay, what they can build, how they can decide the features and everything, along with code generation, and how they can scale the product, and without taking any kind of a cognitive load of writing the prompt and putting more and more messages in the thread. So ultimately the goal is like just put one sentence and we'll give you like end-to-end applications. That's what we are building. And like definitely we are trying to build a truly a generative AI first company. So when we called a marketing department, we have just one person, GTM function, and all agents. So that's how we are able to scale company to like $8 million of ARR with just one person. So
In 4 months.
in just 4 months, yes. So we started in June, and like we are already having a 600K users with a one-person team. So now it's a one-person team plus 10 agents is a kind of a team structure that we are having. And in all the departments, we are just thinking like that, like how we can have AI and how we can be a like generative AI first company. So it's like one of the two a very interesting use case is like, okay, we don't have any Harvard and Stanford graduates around me to give me advice. So I create a virtual boardroom where they give me advice. Like I can just talk to them. So I create the agent for that as well, who do a research and everything for me. So that's how we are using AI at Rocket.
Great. So you three are working in very different spaces, right? Food delivery, healthcare, code. And you've done a really good job at kind of giving us the landscape of how you're using AI, how you're leveraging AI in ways that you could not, do before. I'd like to dive into a bit more of how you do that. And first question would be around when building AI, when using AI, how do you think about the build versus the buy? How do you think about what you build internally versus what you buy?
For Swiggy, it's always buy first. We try to build when we see there is no solution out there in market, or the solutions are not mature. Because at a scale, when you scale, you are a publicly listed company, you can't just risk of hallucinations. You can't just risk of things which may go wrong. So this is we are a buy first mindset with build only if needed. I'll take examples of build and buy. The buy for us was review solution, code review solutions. It was straightforward. See, there were already pretty good solutions out there. Said, okay, let's evaluate couple of them. Uh, we'll be able to enable developers also very fast. And they have the expertise, they have built it, they have tested out on multiple large enterprises out there. So why to build? Versus a build example I'll take for AI SRE, where I want to build an AI agent to do root cause analysis for my alerts, production system alerts. There is an alert being fired, and now I want to correlate this alert and what could be the possible root causes. So why buy? Because there is a lot of data that is not out there. It is not possible today for a AI agent to do a root cause analysis specific to a company. Whereas a AI agent, a generic AI agent like Claude, Code, or any other, they can generate code because there is a lot of data out there they have been trained upon. So this is the difference between build and buy.
So for us, it's more build, I would say. We have seen a journey how we have used LLM tools from last 3 years till now. We have been an AI native company since day one. We've even started using GPT-3 and 3.5 like 3 years ago, even when they were not as capable. And we were still using training our old BERT models and everything. But we kind of took a conscious call that we want to go to the LLM route. By that, 3 years ago, having LLM observability, LLM gateways, LLM prompt management, everything was not as mature as it is today. So that is all something we kind of built from scratch. If you ask me today, if someone is building from scratch, will I do that again? Maybe not. A gateway is something, a layer which I could just pluck out. Observability is something that I can pluck out. But maybe agent orchestration and the context management and all is something that is very close to building agents and is something that I want to keep to myself. And also building a lot of these systems has become infinitely easier with Claude Code and Cursor and all this intelligence, right? So I am a little more of the favor that in future things will tend more towards build. You will have those core big problems like a observability, which is like Datadog and this, that, Langfuse, etc., that you might not want to build because that's like a very huge. But these things that are very close to your workflow is something that I would think you would want to retain to yourself, and that's how we have taken a conscious call to do.
We have a very simple philosophy: build intelligence and the USP, and buy scale and speed. So ultimately, when we decided like we want to move very fast, we just figure out like, okay, what we can buy and we can just implement it right away. And ultimately, like when we think this can be like very beneficial for our user and will help us to set the USP and the kind of an intelligence that we want to build inside the product, that time we build. So it's very simple decisions like, okay, build intelligence and USP, by speed and scale.
Yeah, one other question I have, step up my tongue, which is, do you think about open source models? Are you guys using open source models as well? At what time do you decide to use open source also? Claude is amazing. Yeah. I'm just curious.
Again, going back to my yes, we do use open source model as long as they are managed by someone else. For example, Bedrock, AWS Bedrock. So I don't want to have that hassle of managing those models. Okay, obviously we can, but I would not like to. So here Bedrock comes a really beautiful, and Claude is also, I think AWS is a very strategic partner with Claude also. So this is also one of the, Bedrock is also, which is giving us very scale to move fast. And we started using Claude on Bedrock, not via Anthropic first. And then there are models like DeepSeek available. So we are using, again, it's a question of cost, but cost benefit analysis. If
Yeah,
there is
the
a
reason I
cost
asked that
benefit,
question is because a lot of startups struggle with this question of I should use open source, it'll cost me cheaper. Where I think it's this what you're saying is scale and speed is faster with existing models. So just use that, go ahead with that. Right. So okay.
Yeah, for us, it has been a slightly different story. We definitely use open source models because a lot of our customers are very like large enterprises in US who want all of what we do within their infra,
Okay.
and they are not. There are some customers who are not even on AWS. They're like old servers and everything. So there we have to deploy models in their service. That customer pool might be like 30-40%, but that is still there. So we use open source models for that. We also tried a lot around fine tuning and changing the weights at different layers of models. Initially, it gave us some advantage, but I think that is decreasing over time. My views have changed over time. But yeah, I'm a, like all pro for open source models. So yeah.
In our case, as we are building the horizontal use case, like definitely Claude is the only option for us in the code generation. So for the user, when we are building a feature for the user, definitely the major part of like models that we are using is the Anthropic, along with the OpenAI and other. But for the experimental part, we are using the open source. But here is the main thing is like if you are building a horizontal use case, you need to think about like millions of different kind of a prompt that user will put in your system, and you need to deliver the right results. And that's where reliability on open source models can be a little tricky, and that's why we are very skeptical about it. In fact, like we need to do a benchmarking on like 10 hundreds of different verticals, like what user will get when they will put the prompt. And that's where our choice is like Anthropic when it comes to code generation. And for the experimental in the internal tool, we generally do experiments with the open source, but still not in the production.
Maybe one quick comment, and I think you might have seen this with Tanvir's presentation, is we're building towards making it as easy as possible for developers to build on Claude. Coming back to the build and buy question, Jot, you mentioned, a year ago or 2 years ago, we built stuff that kind of exists today. If we were to redo it, we wouldn't have to rebuild it, and that's what we're trying to build. I think you mentioned as well the AWS partnership, which is key to us in that way as well, because that also enables developers to continue building without needing to manage a certain number of things that are done with Bedrock and others. So that's definitely things we want to make easier for you guys. One question about integrating AI. What are the main challenges you've been facing?
I would say if you're really using LLMs massively for all of your client-facing use cases, and it's very high precision that you require, in our case, evals was like the biggest key. You cannot have a model hallucinate a medical nuance. That's like extremely dangerous. You can't have a model say that you can take this medicine if you cannot take that medicine, right? So evals is a big piece for us. And evals also is not like a single one layer stuff that you can think of. It's like multi-layered. How you think of evals at like a top level, at like in between and everything. So that's like the one of the big pieces that you have to sort out if you really want to scale LLMs in production. Second, I would say is consistent feedback. I would say RL, if you take RL on the side of you, if you take auto prompt optimizations or whatever, if you are integrating a lot of the customer nuances, you cannot have people do it. LLMs are the best prompt engineers, and you have to build some workflow where LLMs have the are in the loop. So you need product and process, a combination of these two, to get the feedback from the customer, and then have this whole system on the back end, which is RL enabled and everything, to kind of bake it continually to kind of achieve scale and like solve for very small nuances and everything. So.
obviously, the hallucination. This is one key area, and the way I will put it, for me, the challenges are wherever I need to do some work. Those are the challenges. So hallucination is one thing where we are continuously saying, okay, model need to self-reflect or do evals. Second is memory. So think of a use case where customer chat use case. Let's take customer chat use case. I'm chatting on something, okay, and I drop off. I come back after 1 hour. So it has to have that continuity in the conversation. That the models today, and I saw Tanvir's presentation, this 4.5 probably going to reduce this problem, if not solve at all. So where uh, I need to continuously keep the memory at my end and feed it in system prompt again and again. So this is another area for me. And the third problem is uh, familiarity. This change in mindset for the builders. The life cycle, HDLC life cycles versus AI DLC looks very similar but slightly different at places. Okay, how do you test? Again, it goes back to evals. That how do you write evals? So these three areas are today I feel are challenging, but I also see a lot of progress being made on all three fronts as we speak.
Ultimately, when we are implementing AI at in any product, the biggest thing is like, okay, AI is really good at when it's come to a pattern matching, but it's really bad when it comes to a deterministic reasoning. And for a code generation, both of these things are required. So even in the age of like when we talk about the AGI and all, the problem is like when we send the same prompt to Anthropic or anyone, results gets changed. And like when we talk about the autonomous way and everything, like okay, we are talking about 30 minutes of autonomous results or like maybe 7-8 hours of autonomy and all. The biggest problem is like okay, every time that prompt give you a different kind of results, so building a engineering around controlling this different kind of, so we build we call it a graceful way of handling the errors. But the problem is like okay, every time you need to be very careful while you are building all these things, because you know Anthropic or any model is going to give you a different kind of results for the same prompt. Now the biggest problem is this: when you build the engineering around this, now every 3 months there is a new model. So like okay, 4 and then 4.5 or then something else will come. And if without doing a proper testing and all, if you just update your model, if you change your model in the production, everything will be collapsed. So ultimately that's where we need to be very careful, and that's the kind of a problem along with the problem that Jod and Vivek said. But this is one of the things that we need to be very careful while we are doing the engineering around the prompting or the context engineering to manage all this hallucination and all. With the change of like rapid change in the models, we need to be like every time put the a kind of an efforts which is like unnecessary. So that's one of the challenge that maybe everyone is facing right now.
I have one question, Vivek. I very interesting. Like use the term AI DLC, the new way of building software. How's the roles have changed? Like, do you have software? The engineers write their own evals. Do you have special eval writers? Like we have testers.
We are still figuring out, to be very candid.
Right.
But see, this problem also when we are saying the pace at which models are changing, this is also the problem that AI DLC has to solve. See how in older world or the current world, not older, HDLC.
It changes every day.
It changes so fast. So this current world also, how do we say that any new person joining will not be able to break my production? The only way of solving it, write better test cases, have UT, SLTs, integration tests, so that even if I'm writing, I'm a bad coder, or forget about bad coder, I did not get the requirement properly, I'll not be able to break it at production. So if my models are changing very fast, I need to invest a lot in evals, not in saying, okay, how can I say how can I build as a owner of that product owner, how can I build confidence before I switch model, whether it's switch model or switch version. So that's where this AI DLC we are trying to figure out. Whether can I do, if I compare in older world software, you do canary testing, you do shadow testing. Can I do similar thing here with saying, okay, there are gateways now. uh, I'm trying to compare this HDLC and AI DLC so that it in software it used to be like proxy. Like here there are gateways, like can I do some kind of a say this is Claude 4, Claude 4.5, whether for which part, and do shadow testing. All my for production traffic and build that confidence saying, okay, and then have a LLM as a judge.
Like, so, like I found it very tedious when I do this because you need to have evals first, like rock solid, gold standard benchmark. So how much time do you guys spend building that evals?
Very, very tough, Priyank. So that's where this building evals is very hard problem. At least this is what we are finding. So what we are also trying to do is start very small. Start small, dog food it, build confidence. I'll take this example how we are exactly approaching this problem at
That's
Swiggy.
tactical. I'm like, I want the founders to take away this, that, you know, do you set up a team separately, take a task? Like, how do you do it? Like,
Yeah, it's actually a joint responsibility. So what we say, okay, product side, there is a product teams, and then there is a central AI team, central Gen AI team, where we are enforcing some of those things. Saying, okay, evals has to be there. How do you deploy? How do you deploy? So AIDLC and all those things are taken care by a central team.
it's part of your sprint. It's part of your work completion criteria that you have to.
It is part of my go-to-market strategy. It is part of my release strategy. Saying, okay, evals has to be there. You have to have shadow testing. You have to have start small. So that's where it's very tedious, but when you are dealing with the millions of orders a day, you have to do it.
Switching to agentic coding, how has adoption been at your companies with agentic coding, and have you encountered any resistance?
Forget about the agentic coding. Like, you have the resistance when introduce the generative AI, like when GPT-3 came, and like I always used to say this, like still people don't differentiate a basic chat and the prompting when they are talking to LLM. Generally, they do a chatting and then they are expecting the right results. And every time you need to push, like, okay, you cannot do a chat with system like this. You need to write the proper prompt every time, and then they just got pissed off. But now when they see the results, like they are okay to adopt it. And for kind of an like organization that we are building is the first thing, like, okay, you cannot do any task repetitively for more than 5 times. So ultimately, if you are wasting your time, you need to adopt it right way. Even like it's quite controversial, but now we have a rule. If you want to hire any human being, you need to have a 5 strong reasons why AI will not able to do this task. If you don't have that reason, I'm not going to allow you to hire any other person in your team. So definitely, right now we are creating such kind of an like culture where people can adopt agentic AI very quickly. And the one more thing that I see is like, okay, if you have a basic agent and if it's not able to create the impact, no one will adopt it. Let me give you a very simple example. Writing a simple YouTube script. Let's say if I want to launch any feature and if I want to write a script of that product release, I can simply build a simple agentic system where I can put my marketing memo and it's generating the script for me. But versus that, and if I'm expecting like adoption will be there, no. But what we are doing, like, okay, when we want to create any video, we have a complete agentic system. What it will do, like, search all the videos, will pick 10 best performing video on the YouTube. It will analyze thumbnail. It will analyze the title. It will analyze the complete transcript. It will figure out the psychological hook. Then it will analyze my marketing memo and it will create the script for me. Now, if I deploy a human being over there, it is like more than 15 days of work. Now with the agentic system, it's like just in 15 minutes to 20 minutes of work. And that's where people realize like, okay, I should adopt the agentic AI. And in all kind of use cases, I need to think like that. And that's where we see a very quick adoption because they see an impact. And here, like, advice is to everyone, like, okay, if you are think agentic way, don't think a very simple agent, which is not going to create any impact. And then if you think like, okay, in your entire team, everyone will go agentic, it's not going to happen. Just try to create that impact, which is not possible with a 5 people team if you are doing it manually. If you think deeply about that kind of an use case and if you build this kind of an agent, definitely people will start building. Because like you can just give them an option. What you want to do? Manually, sit Saturday, Sunday, give me this work or use the agent. Then the only option is like agent.
Specifically on coding, yeah. What are you seeing in terms of adoption and resistance?
We've seen immense adoption. On the resistance front, I wouldn't say it is resistance. It is maybe they're not trying as often as they should. And it boils down to, I think, leadership and motivation. So for me, if we as a team think of some idea, I just go and get a prototype out in like half a day and just share with the team, hey, I've done this thing, or like this person has done this thing in half a day.
Use Rocket. You will get in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I will definitely do it. So then they see the thing that like if someone can do it this thing in like 2 hours and it's like a working prototype and it's like all integrated and it's all functional, that's like great, right? And we here have in our company, it's prototype over PRDs. There are less PRDs now. If you have an idea for an internal tool, just show me that. Just give me a working version of it. I don't want to have like a discussion. We'll definitely have that, but give me the first version out. So that's also an idea. And one other thing on the motivation front, right? There are 2 3 different points. One, with this agentic coding, people, earlier developers were also doing things like version upgrades, fixing small bugs, this and that, right? So now that is all out of the window. They can just work on really cutting edge problems all the time. So you have to motivate them in that sense that, hey, if you are doing something which is very not like the best, you can actually get it done using an agent and you think of bigger problems. So I'll give you one example. One of our engineers, right, who has not done data science at all, so we had a problem where we had to do some modeling and we had to do some logistic regression to figure out some patterns and everything. So I asked him, "Okay, hey, dude, you do it." He's like, "I have no idea. I don't know data science." I'm like, "You just give it a try. Go to a Sonnet 4.5. I love 4.5 in that sense. It is like extremely agentic. It just so I'll tell you, that engineer trained a XGBoost, CNN, RNN, everything, 5 different experiments in a span of 2 hours. And he's come and given me, hey, so Sonnet 4.5 is telling me that an ensemble of XGBoost plus this is working on this data. I'm like, do you even know what an XGBoost is? He's like, I have no idea, but this thing works. So that's the motivation you get people to do. And engineers always want to learn cross-domain things. Front-end guy wants to do back-end wants to do front-end. So you tell them, you go ahead and do it. It will be all possible. I think, yeah.
So how do you like keep the developers up to date with all of this? Is there a resistance on that? Like, how do you train your developers? What do you think?
Of resistance. Okay.
Yeah. How do you do it? Like, so
Yeah, at a scale, I'll understand some of these top-down things that you can do in a small companies. So here the approach has been very, very different. Approach has been listen to them first. What problem are they facing? Can agents, can some of these tools solve those problems first? Because that will spark the plug. Okay, so we went about interviewing tens of developers first. Said, okay, what is your problem? Tell me, where do you spend time? Can I help you? No AI mention, no Claude code or cursor, anything. Just tell me what is your problem. So one of the problem, hey boss, I spend a lot of time in review. I want to code. I want to have as senior engineers. I'm talking about principal engineers that I want to get my hands dirty, but I'm not able to get time because I spend huge amount of time in review. Second is some of junior engineers, on-call engineers saying, I get whenever there is an on-call, I'm not able to sleep. There is a lot of alerts firing. Okay, so let's solve those problems first. Okay, so we built an agent which actually whenever there is an alert, within 2 minutes, it will give you 3 probable root causes. 30-40% time it works. It's not still like not even crossing that majority mark, but 30-40% time. So now lot of that you say alignment, saying okay, yes, it is solving my need. Second, review. That okay, don't code. We'll give you a review tool which will do a code review. Whenever there is a PR, it'll generate a nice summary. What that PR does. It'll generate a sequence diagram. Put it into Git only. So whenever, as a senior engineer, you need not to go through the code completely. You have a sequence diagram. You have a summary. Now your time to review reduce. Time to review as a engineer. Okay. Now you see slowly alignment has started coming in. Third thing, we started doing hackathons. Okay, now all of this is good. There are tools. We said okay, we are not enforcing any tool. You bring your tool. You want to use Lovable, fine. You do vibe coding. You want to use Cursor, Claude Code, GitHub Copilot, whatever. We enabled all of those. We'll give you a license. Do hackathons. We started doing hackathons, built some really cool product, and started recognizing those engineers. Okay. And then at one point of time, we said, okay, now we want to converge. Tell us which tool. We are saying, okay, we can't just run with 20 tools. It's very hard to manage. It's also very hard to get deals from large companies. So uh, tell me one tool. So today, Cursor is our de facto choice. 80-90% of the users, they love Cursor. And also, I see there is a little bit of a spark. Cursor with Claude, by the way. This is there is no doubt about that.
This is all not sponsored, guys. Huh?
It's not sponsored by that. It's not, but you go to any developer in Swiggy, they'll swear on Cursor with Claude. Now I see little bit of traction for a Claude as well. Claude, and but there are many other tools. So this has been a journey of 6-7 months. But now I see a lot of alignment, a lot of excitement in AI coding.
Out of your 800 developers, how many are using Cloud Code or Cursor every day? You know,
Almost 80% of them
80%.
they code their code first. When they open VS Code,
Okay.
They don't write code, they write prompts.
Yeah, right. Maybe conscious of time, moving to the last section, you have here some of the best founders
Yeah.
of India.
Yeah.
You have them for the last 7 minutes. When they think about building AI native startups or baking AI into their products, can you give them each one advice?
Okay, so do not carry it away with the marketing of anything. That's the first and big advice, because right now in the market, 80% is the marketing company, 20% is the product company. Understand your use case first. For your use case, what is the best thing? Because recently I wrote the post as well. Like, okay, before 6 months, someone is saying now prompt engineering is died. Then the context engineering is died. And then there's something other and like a new hype you will get to know about. Still, context engineering is required. Still, prompt engineering is required. Just mess up with one line of your prompt and see what kind of a result you will get it with the LLM. So you need to understand for what use case you are building. Is it the horizontal? Is it the vertical? You need to understand in depth if you are throwing the entire context and the random prompt to Anthropic or any other LLM, and if you are thinking you are going to build a good startup, it's not going to happen. You need to figure out your USP. And I always, even like with the Prayank, during the breakfast, I was talking about this thing. Definitely distribution is the moat. Everyone is talking about that. But still, with the right product, distribution is the moat. Let me give a very simple example of it. GitHub Copilot, a creator of a code generation space. They have the GitHub network. They have the Microsoft network. Satya Nadella in all the keynotes started with the GitHub Copilot. Cursor built silently for a year. Then they started marketing, and now everyone is using the Cursor. No one is talking about the GitHub Copilot. Without product, if you just jump into marketing, you will definitely be replaceable. So definitely GTM is required. But one very good, one and only advice from my side: don't just carry it away with the marketing hype. You need to be very thoughtful while you are deciding what to build, and just go into depth, think about your user, and then think about your distribution strategy.
So focus on your user and your case, your use
And
case,
the real product.
not on building AI just for AI.
Yeah, Jot, you're in a very competitive space, right?
Yes.
Like before you, there were like large companies with 30, 40, 50, $100 million raise for the specific problem.
Yes, there were.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, how are you guys doing it?
So I would say advice for founders, one, like top level advice, and then two tactical advices. One top level advice would be aim bigger and think bigger. Things have changed massively. To what Tanveer said on his last slide, don't build for what the capabilities are today. Build for what the capabilities will be 1 year, 2 years down the line. So definitely have that perspective from today. Now, on the tactical side, one to Vishal's point, absolutely agree. Don't get carried away by all the AI hype. Know your market. Know that your market has revenue pools, customers. There is a pain point. Make sure you do that. Don't build a company just for the AI hype of it, for sure. And in current day and age, because building has become easier, the other aspects are even more important. So yeah, take that. And one like very tactical advice, because things have become so easy to build. Build as many internal tools as you can to make sure your internal processes are like extremely smooth. We have north of like dozens of internal tools. So yeah, that's like a tactical advice.
Actually, I'd agree with the last point what Jot said. Your own shit first.
Let's eat your food first.
Maybe more civilized way of saying that. So this one single sentence.
Yeah, that's great. So things are changing very fast, right? And as VCs, we chase startups. Where do you guys see things happening in your industry in 12 to 18 months from now? Like this quick 30 seconds, like you're seeing it, you're in it every day. Every day things are changing. So how do you keep up? What is your predictions?
We are living in the world of an uncertainty. I only think for 3 months, not more than that, to be honest. Like, I don't want to like give a gyan on that. Like, we are thinking very long term because even we don't know like what is going to release after 3 months and how we need to change the strategy. So here, my stuff is very simple. Be vigilant, take your own call, nothing else. And even I have a very clear instruction to my team. Think for a 3 month. Do not make any strategy beyond 3 months because you don't know. Like, okay, N10, and now all of a sudden, like N10 is dying. And on another day, Accel is investing in N10. We are living in that kind of end world.
Our portfolio company, they are not dying.
So, so we are living in, that's what I'm saying. Like, we are living in a world of hype and uncertainty where 80% of things are, to be honest, like manufactured for you, which is not truth anyway. So just build for strategy for 3 months, not more than that.
For us, I would say we work in a very operationally heavy industry. There are millions and millions of people who are doing very like repetitive work. There is a big productivity gap up that is come and will go in the next few years as well. So for us as a medical healthcare industry, we are going to see massive, massive changes. A lot more productivity, less operations, better care given to patients, and yeah.
For you, you're a public company. So, yeah.
So that's why also need to be very careful about what I speak.
Yeah. Yeah, please. We are stock owners. Don't do anything. It's
So-
okay. You can skip this question. It's okay. Don't answer.
With this, that we need to be on our toe. We need to build for. We need to basically there is. I don't think anyone can answer that for a certainty that this is going to be the future, 18 months from now. So what we are also trying to see that how can we actually just stay ahead of the curve. Think whatever is there, can we actually distill hype versus reality and just adopt on reality, saying okay, yes, this is where I want to invest, and this is going to be at least stay here for a year.
Yeah.
I think this is the time when we need to think from the first principle. First principle should be in action, not on the theory. That this is the time when you should adapt it. The first thing.
Okay. We have. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Just one final thing just came to my mind. Like this is the period where you need to do extreme learning. The period pre-LLM area, maybe you could have gone engineers like 5 years without learning anything new, and you would still be extremely relevant. In today's day and age, if you don't study for like 3 months, you will be outdated. So please just brush up your concepts every day.
I've used Cursor to write like a archive webhook program which goes through archive every day, figures out all the papers, classifies them for me, and says based on this is from a lab, or tells me okay, this paper you should read. But there's so much on archive as well. So
One of the only VCs that I see posting on LinkedIn that I have fine-tuned a model. I've tried this thing. I'm like crazy good.
we will get outdated for sure. It's like you have to learn this.
Hi, thanks a lot for this engaging panel discussion that actually also resonates a lot with me because you've actually been very unabashed about the practical aspects of AI, which is not all candies. My specific question is to Jot because I am in a regulated industry, heavily regulated industry as well as a founder. So I have two questions. First of all, what percentage of your success has been from reasoning models specifically, and exactly in what use cases that you have found very confident that you could go live in such a heavily regulated industry? The second one is because you were a company even before the LLMs came in, right? So what parts of your older ML systems started making way for LLM harnesses first, right? And what parts still don't?
So on the first part, right, the reasoning bit, I would say that is like a horizontal thing. We found when we kind of included reasoning, interleaved thinking, and all the other tools in the tool set, right? There was a bump, and that bump is in use case A, B, or C, whatever. But that like makes sense. So I wouldn't say there is any link with the regulated industry per se. What in the regulated industry, what I saw, people initially 2 years ago were very skeptical that I don't want my prompts going out to OpenAI or a Claude or whatever. But I think that is changing. That is changing massively. People are very open now. So I would say that's a very interesting question. So 2.5 years ago, when we had that old ML stack, we took a very conscious call to move everything to LLMs. Even if our old stack was at 80%, LLMs were at like a 70%, we just made sure we have to get that 70% to 80% rather than making sure the older stack reaches 90 or 100. We scraped that and we only worked on it with the belief that within 6 months, that 70 to 80 jump will naturally just happen out of the box. And that kind of played out for us.
And my question is to Vishal from Rocket. Hey man, I just tried Rocket. This is amazing. Actually,
Awesome.
can you just talk about the kind of users who are using most Rocket? And I just gave a shitty prompt and it asked me a lot of questions about, hey, do you want to build mobile app, web app? And it asked me multiple questions on what screens do you want to build? And it used Flutter and gave me such an amazing. I mean, I use the same prompt right now when you're speaking on Lovable Bold. So, once on the kind of users using and what product decisions you made, yeah, they'll be amazing.
So right now we are having a serious audience. That's one of the thing. Solopreneurs, enterprises, and inside the enterprises, like we have a very different motion, which I cannot talk right now. But a Fortune 100 companies are like one of the Fortune 100 companies are using our product, as well as the front end developers, which is our core focus. So we don't want to go behind like back end, front end, everything. The front end where we want to excel, and that's why we have a support of Flutter, Next.js, React, and everything. One of the hard product decisions that we make in this particular space, like our space is like quite hot. So like, okay, we don't want to go behind the hobbyist and everyone in the market. So we are the only tool in the world who is having a free trial instead of a freemium users. Like everyone provide a weekly free prompts and all. In our case, it's a one time, which is like one of the hard call, as well as like all other tools give you results in 3 minutes versus we are taking like 20 to 25 minutes of time. What we decided, like and as I said, like we want to take that cognitive load from user and we shifted on our backend side. So ultimately, when you get the application, it's like entire application. You don't need to put a 40, 50 prompts to get your first 8, 9 screens with complete interactions and all. So that's a hard product decision that we make, but like 90% of our users are ready to wait for 20, 25 minutes of time. It was a bet before 4 months, but now it's working in our favor and people are liking the results. That's the one thing.
Can you help me understand, like in the 25 minutes, what's going in the scenes to actually make it from 0 to like 10, right? Because
Secret formula. Can you tell it?
I think I need to create a presentation of 30 minutes for that. But it's like multi level of things that we build. We'll talk later on. But it's that's the USP that we build.
yeah, sure, amazing, man. I think I'll start using
Thank
this
you.
thing.
So Vishal had one of the best products even pre-LLM era. I have known him for a long time, and after LLM, he has kind of whole strategy changed. But then he has built one of the best products. After
And you
that,
can build it from anywhere. We are building it from Surat.
Surat, yeah, he's doing
Yeah.
everything from Surat.
I have a question for you. So I think for Jot, Vivek, it's relatively straightforward to build your benchmarking systems and your evaluation platforms because you're in a vertical use case that you can sort of have a lag, even if it's a lagging metric that's tied to your business outcomes, it still works for you. For Rocket, it's more of a broader general workflow, like for Cursor or Claude, if you build your analytics and your eval engines, it's more like okay, number of accepts, number of rejects, number of follow-up prompts before the changes are made. How are you, since you're in a very wide industry, multiple use cases that you're targeting? How are you designing your evals? Because I've always seen that horizontal evals are way harder than vertical evals. Like I can build vertical evals in a day, but horizontal evals is like something that, okay, this is a nightmare. I need to plan 3 quarters for this. So how are you approaching this?
So definitely you cannot build like 100% accurate evals for the horizontal use case. But what you can simply do is like right now we are taking a hybrid approach of like AI evals plus human. And what we are doing is like we have a kind of like 3 things which we are generally targeting. Like okay, did we cover the 100% of context or not? Then the relativity and the kind of layout designs and all. So ultimately what we are doing is like okay, we run the AI evals. and then we take a sample every day out of that AI wells, and that's where we put human just to cross check, and we just try to make sure like, okay, we are having the 100% accuracy or not. It's a nightmare, but that's how you can simply start, and that's what we are doing. And being into Surat, we have the cost advantage, so that's where I have the human beings, like a 10 people team who are just doing this work day and night.
Small follow up there. How much are you relying on analytic tools? Like, for example, how many follow up messages did someone send? Or you can even use something more analytical, like a very small model that classifies that, okay, user is happy, unhappy. So, how much of your reliance is on analytic tools versus your SMEs versus your LLM as a judge?
So you need to rely on the analytics tool. Otherwise, like Prayank is going to hit me because he is my partner. Every month in a board meeting, he asks me like lots of questions, and without analytic tools, I cannot present the report. So definitely, I need to rely. But
You're not doing it for me. You're doing it for the user.
I can do lot many things for the user, but as a part of like board meetings and all, I need to do something for you as well. So definitely like you need to rely on that. So ultimately there are like two things. So for an example, how many times user put the frustrated message? Because like that you need to figure it out. Like how many times they encounter the bug. So let me give you a very basic example and how we are taking like how we are using LLM in a very different way. So we know like syntax error and like there are like silly errors is going to be there because of an hallucination and all. So instead of every time sending that context and putting that LLM in between to fix the bug, we created like lots of heuristics. So when we see like, okay, there are like 100 plus errors, which is like coming repeatedly, and just because of a comma error, we'll not send that to LLM. Right now in the 4 months, we build like almost 3,000 plus heuristics to fix small things. So that's how we think about our user, how we can take that cost from the users and we can just make it free of cost. So like lots of errors we are fixing in background and we are not charging our users for that. And that's where we are using the heuristic. So always we make a call like, okay, this week we got like 1,500 errors in production, runtime error or maybe a syntax error or anything. How many of errors we can fix it with the heuristics and how many errors we need to still need to rely on the LLM. So that's how you need to think. And that's where analytics tool will not help you. You need to build your own analytics. So it's a kind of a contextual call that you need to make. So the data, which is like simple math, you can use the analytics tool. Otherwise, for the improvement of your product, you can build your own stuff.
Just to quickly add, just one final one to build on top of that. I think of product experience in the sense for horizontal platforms to get that eval feedback. Embed it in your product experience to get it. That's the point where the user actually is like in that context that he can give a feedback. So build evals from that.
So, what kind of GTM hacks are you guys using, and what seems to be working better?
We all are like having
Spending VC money.
Absolutely right. So there are nothing like in hacks. Definitely you need to run multiple experiments. So for an example, for us, we leverage device SEO, which was like quite strong. So ultimately we forward our entire traffic to get the very early users in the first month itself. So during device, like we wrote thousands of users and still we are having like a really good traffic. So we forward entire device traffic to Rocket. That is one experiment there that really works well for us. Then we had the entire existing community of previous product. And then content creation is another GTM. So ultimately there are multiple channels. Nowadays, the only thing that gets changed is like when we were running device, we were just focusing on the one channel as a GTM, which was the SEO. Now, in these days, you cannot just dependent on the one channel. Like if there are like 10 to 15 channels, you need to explore all. Depends on like a kind of a budget that you are having. But only advice on the GTM side is like, okay, you need to be like, you need to do a constant experiments and then you need to decide like what is working for you. Like, so for an example, for us, paid ad never worked. So we run the experiment and then we stop. So you need to be very vigilant about like what channels are going to work for your particular product, but just focus on the multiple channels at a time. It was a time of a SaaS when you can just focus on the one channel and then you can expand. But right now, at least like 3 to 4 channels that you need to explore in parallel.
Yeah, I would say for us, like sales is very different. We are like on ground sales in US. But other point would be like, I think GTM is one of the sectors where AI can make one of the most massive impacts. Email personalization, all the personalizations, AI SDRs, everything. That's like definitely one other thing that we did, which like was that rather than buying the data to send these emails that cost us like $400,000 or $500,000, you can just now with agents scrape everything, whatever, and you can have a 80% quality data with like $20,000. So that is one kind of hack that we did. So like, yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you guys. Sorry, we have only so much time today. Let's get into the demos. Thanks.